Introducing the hidden triggers of anger. Have you ever felt your blood boil, your heart race, and suddenly you're consumed by anger? But what if I told you that the real reasons behind your outbursts are hidden beneath the surface? Discover the surprising triggers of anger and how to take back control of your emotions before they take control of you. Today, we'll concisely discuss what it is, its hidden triggers, the morality of anger, how to manage or control it, and lastly, the fastest technique and a final bonus tip. Make sure to stay right there to the end, don't go anywhere. Now let's dive right into it. Anger is a powerful and intense emotional response that can either motivate us or completely derail our day. It can be a natural reaction to certain circumstances, but becomes problematic when it is excessive, misdirected, or poorly managed. So let's unpack the hidden triggers of anger, as well as some biblical references as regards to anger, and some practical tips to manage it effectively.
First, let's talk about the causes, or better said, its hidden triggers. Anger is usually triggered through various primary sources ranging from frustration. This occurs when things don't go as planned, when our goals, desires, or needs are not met, like being stuck in traffic or dealing with a stubborn or disagreeable coworker or someone who doesn't augur well with us. Next, feeling threatened or afraid. This could be anything from a physical threat to an emotional one, like someone undermining your confidence or suddenly coming face to face with a danger or frightening object or person. When afraid, frightened, or threatened, it could result in an immediate burst of anger or as defense mechanism in such vulnerable situations. Another trigger here is being stressed, overwhelmed, or an inability to control a situation. Prolonged periods of stress or feeling overwhelmed can lower emotional resilience, making individuals more prone to anger or irritation. Also, when a situation gets beyond control, like a chronic sickness or pain that persists even after treatment, can trigger anger. Here also is included the mood swing that occurs mostly in women, especially when they experience some kind of severe pain. Next, resentment. Holding on to past grievances against someone or a group of people can lead to unresolved anger that builds up over time. Anger is always triggered when one has to deal with such a person or group of persons for whom one is holding a grudge against, or even a mere mention of them. That's exactly where transferred aggression stems from. Yet another trigger include unrealistic expectations. Expecting too much from others or ourselves can lead to frustration and anger when these expectations are not met. And lastly, injustice. A perceived or actual unfair treatment or wrong done to oneself or others can provoke anger. Which of these most often trigger your anger? What other triggers do you think has not been elaborated here? Let us know in the comments, we'll be glad to hear from you. Meanwhile, let's move on.
Understanding the root cause of your anger can give you a solid starting point for managing it. Therefore, whenever you feel angry, take a brief pause to unravel the reason behind it. Then, think of how to react. As to its morality, being angry in itself isn't a sin, but a healthy emotion, which we can normally experience owing to the situations mentioned above. It can positively inspire problem-solving measures and compassionate response. For example, in trying to curb the menace of some street children always running up to passers-by for alms, someone decides to build a home for destitutes. Another example of its positive motivation is when one gets angry or fed up with the treatment or payment received at workplace, quits the job and makes new ventures with the determination to succeed and eventually succeeds. However, aggressive, hate-filled displays of anger are what becomes sinful and unhealthy because it typically causes injury, hurt, sadness, fear, and pain towards others as well as oneself. When we experience anger, we must be extra vigilant in how we act. For feeling angry does not give us an excuse to sin. Anger that results in sin could mean saying cruel words or behaving in harmful ways toward others. While it may be impossible for us to avoid angry feelings, we can keep ourselves from sinning. The Bible has much to say about anger. It is mentioned more than 500 times in Scripture. God, as well as humans, express anger. When used by God, anger is often described as God's wrath and refers to his absolute opposition to sin and evil. as expressed in Romans chapter 1, verse 18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of people who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. God's wrath is tempered by his infinite mercy and forgiveness, as Psalm 130 affirms, "If you, O Lord, marks our guilt, who would survive? But with you is found forgiveness. For this we revere you." For us, here are some brief quotes on anger.
Be angry, but do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, and give no opportunity to the devil. Stop being angry. Turn from your rage. Do not lose your temper. It only leads to harm. An angry person stirs up conflict, and a hot-tempered person commits many sins. My dear brothers, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. For man's anger does not bring about the righteous life that God desires. Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. And many other biblical references, but we'll stop at these. From the biblical teachings, holding on to anger is equal to an act of folly. Prolonged feelings of anger point to an unforgiving heart. When we let anger simmer in our hearts for more than a day, it allows the devil to gain control over our attitudes. It often expresses itself in criticism or sarcasm disguised as teasing. It can also erupt into fury, contempt, violence, and abusive behaviors. This kind of gnawing unforgiveness eventually leads to resentment, deep bitterness, and even physical sickness that can harm us first, and other relationships and people. Hence, we're called to control or manage sensibly our feelings of anger. We can get angry, but we must control the actions we take at such moments. Because holding on to anger is like holding on to a burning coal and hoping it hurts someone else. It affects our mental health, relationships, and even our physical well-being. It causes a ripple effect throughout the body, from the cardiovascular system to the nervous system, and is associated with increased anxiety, high blood pressure, insomnia or lack of sleep, indigestion, headache, etc. But here's the good news. You can learn to manage your anger effectively, and that's our aim for this video. Don't forget to like it, share your experiences with anger, and tell us which of the techniques here works best for you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel as a sign of support to enable us create more of these videos. And feel free to share it with someone who can benefit from it too. Thanks in anticipation.
Now, anger management. The first step to managing your anger is acknowledging that you're angry. Sounds simple, right? But it's crucial. It is called self-awareness. Recognize the triggers and warning signs of anger. Once you recognize it, pause and reflect, like taking a deep breath and count to 10. This can be done in a couple of seconds to minutes, but it's essential. This helps in avoiding impulsive or harmful actions and from saying or doing something you'll regret later. Give yourself a moment to cool down. Second, practice empathy. In such few seconds or longer period, if need be, you can practice empathy by trying to see the situation from the other person's perspective. Often, anger dissipates when we realize that others have their own struggles or intentions. If it's obvious that they are acting out of anger instead of retaliating in like manner, we try to help them calm down, like taking deep breaths or not responding at all until the situation becomes calmer. Another great tip is express your anger constructively. Use I statements to communicate your feelings without blaming others. For example, say, "I feel upset, unhappy, sad, etc." Whenever you say this or do this instead of "you always make me angry." It shifts the focus from blame to understanding. Physical activity can also be a fantastic outlet. You may defer the conversation or situation if that's what you need. Go for a run, hit the gym, or even just take a brisk walk, and later when you're more calm, you can address the situation amicably. This mostly works for couples during moments of arguments. Excuse yourself calmly and then return to it later. Exercise releases endorphins, which help you feel more relaxed and happier and gives you time to think over the situation and how to respond without destroying the love and affection that exists. Mindfulness and meditation. Even a few minutes of focused breathing can help you regain control especially. when you feel drawn to hit, punch or harm the other person. This is called relaxation technique, like yoga or just repeated deep breathings. This technique is also helpful when stressed or being overwhelmed. Relax, calm down, every bad situation would pass. You need to be strong to live past them, okay? Next is problem solving. Identify solutions to the issue at hand rather than focusing on the emotion itself. Try to understand the issue, find a solution to it, especially if it's a situation you're avoiding. Overcome your fears, face it and solve it instead of avoiding it. Channeling energy into resolving the problem can reduce anger. Here I'll add that when you know a problem cannot be solved or a situation cannot improve, just do yourself a favor by accepting the reality and ask God for the grace to move ahead, even with that difficulty, because no amount of annoyance or resentment can change it, but we'll only be harming ourselves. Next, forgiveness. Letting go of grudges and resentments can significantly reduce anger. Forgiving doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but releasing the hold it has over your emotions. The truth is that we cannot change the behaviors or attitudes of others unless they change it by themselves. We, on our own part, can only change our reactions towards them or how we allow their actions to affect us. That's what we do when we manage our anger or annoyance positively. Remember, managing anger is a skill that doesn't always come easily, even after many attempts. However, we mustn't be discouraged. It takes practice and patience, but the benefits are enormous. The last but most important tip that works almost immediately is this: ask God for help. Yes, this has worked for me many times. When I try to control my annoyance or anger, and I'm unable, just as St. Paul said in his letter to the Ephesians, the devil is using that opportunity to cause harm to the soul and suggesting evil retaliations. A little prayer made directly to God can calm the storm. Short prayers like, "Oh God, come to my assistance, Lord, make haste to help me. Lord, I cannot do this alone. Help me to overcome this situation at hand. Lord, please calm my spirit. Grant that I may not offend you," etc. And sometimes too call on Saint Michael and the Blessed Virgin Mary. They too have great influence in combating evil spirits. You'll find yourself feeling more in control, happier and better equipped to handle life's challenges. Remember, life in itself is a journey to eternity. What shall it profit if we gain the whole world by fighting back with revenge and retaliations and lose our souls? Remain steadfast in the saintly pathway and your journey will end in eternal glory.
For having persevered to this point, I'll give you the bonus tips as promised. These are tips to enable you begin this war against anger. It's all about taking a determined, intentional decision as follows. I won't allow his or her attitudes annoy me. I should be in control of my feelings. I will never say deliberately any harsh word or statement to anyone, no matter how bad I feel. I'll endeavor to keep silent even if he or she keeps insulting or acting angrily. I'll make efforts to keep silent whenever I feel irritated, until I'm calm to talk constructively. I'll always try to offer a smile to that person that irritates me, in place of a harsh look, etc. Hope you find these tips helpful. Remember, even if you don't succeed from the onset, it's normal. But the key is to keep trying until it becomes a habit. Next, we'll talk about the virtue of patience as an antidote for anger and necessary for this life's journey. Until then, thanks for watching and take care of yourselves. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more self-help tips. God bless you.